Hello and welcome to Vision Insights. Today, myself, C.S. Truthupadhyay, will take you to the lecture series, another lecture on our continuing lecture series on company law. And we have already completed two lectures on Managing Director, Part 1 and Part 2. Today is Managing Director, Part 3. Right, so we have already started a lecture series on company law, specifically covering the syllabus of University of Calcutta. So this lecture target audience is specifically semester 2 students of University of Calcutta, but obviously this lecture will be useful to other students of other universities, and also the professional examination students preparing for professional examination or the competitive examinations like NET aspirants, wherein the company law is a subject where you can use this lecture series for concept building and understanding the subject. Hopefully this lecture series will be helpful to everyone, be it for a academic purpose, for the professional purpose, or for the competitive exams. Right, now let's begin. These are the few reference book, though the material given by me in my lectures are enough, but even if you want to practice more and want to read more of company law, you can refer to these books, right? And this is the website of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, wherein you can get the access of ebook on company law. This way the ebook looks like. You have to just search the section wise, you can get the contents. Today is our topic for the day is Managing Director and Part 3. So hope you have seen my previous lecture, that is MD Part 1 and MD Part 2. And if you have not still have seen my lectures, please go back and check the company law playlist in my channel Vision Insights. You will get all my previous lecture. Today we will be doing section 197. Few sections of section 197, subsections of till subsection 8 we had covered in the previous lecture, and now we will be doing from subsection 9 onwards. This section is section 197. So here it is written that if the MD has if any director, not only MD, any director has received directly or indirectly any remuneration in the part 2 of the MD's lecture, in subsection 1 of 197, few limits we have already discussed, that within this limits only the MD or any other managerial personnel will get the remuneration, right, from the company. So if they are exceeding the limit and MD has received some remuneration even though he was not eligible, right, beyond that limit he is not eligible, so he has received the remuneration from the company in excess of the limit prescribed or without the approval which is required. We know that the approval of shareholders is required through SR. Obviously the limits can be increased, so there was no SR passed. Then obviously this director has to refund the amount, the excess amount, to the company within the 2 years or such lesser amount as may be allowed by the company. So company's discretion, they can, a maximum is 2 years, or they can also tell that immediately refund, whatever. Until such time the refund is not done, that sum will be held by the director in the in trust for the company. So it's company's money, not the director's money. Fine. Company cannot waive the recovery of this money, right? So the company has to take back from the director, unless the company can waive only if the shareholders approve. And shareholders approval has to be taken by SR, that is special resolution, within 2 years from the date the sum became payable. So if the sum is becoming payable in suppose May 2020, so before May 2022 this remuneration waiver has to be taken from the shareholders by passing SR, right? Suppose if the company has made a default in making the payment or making the dues payable to the payment of the dues payable to the bank or PFI or non-convertible debenture holders or any other secured creditors, then the prior approval of these parties, that is the bankers, PFI, public financial institution, concerned public financial institution, or non-convertible debenture holders or the secured creditors, prior approval has to be taken prior to the approval of the shareholders which will be taking in the general meeting. So before general meeting you will have to have a meeting with these parties, and these parties has to first approve the waiver of the refund of the excess managerial remuneration paid to our managerial personnel. Fine. In case where the Schedule 5 is applicable, when is Schedule 5 applicable? Schedule 5 is applicable when there is no profit or when there is an inadequate profit, then only the Schedule 5 provisions are activated, right? So we'll be discussing Schedule 5 in our upcoming lectures. So here it is written that if the remuneration is when the company has no profit or inadequate profit, then any provision relating to the remuneration of a director, which means that you want to increase or giving effect to the increase. So remuneration is getting increased. Then whether the provision be contained in the company's memorandum or articles regarding the remuneration, or the agreement between the person and the company, concerned MDO and the company, or resolution passed by the company in general meeting or the board meeting, shall not be effective unless such increase is in accordance with the conditions specified in Schedule 5. That means that the Schedule 5 is the prime thing which we have to comply when when there is no profit or when the profits are inadequate. So it should, whatever remuneration you pay, whether you want to increase the remuneration also, you have to do it by the route prescribed under Schedule 5. Fine. Every listed company shall disclose in its board's report the ratio of the remuneration of each director to the median employee remuneration. Right? So what is written, that listed public companies, we know that 197 is only applicable to the public companies, right? So public company whichever are listed companies, they have to disclose in the board's report this kind of ratio. Right? Ratio of remuneration paid to each director to the median employees remuneration. Any insurance taken by the company on behalf of the whole-time director, managing director, manager, CS, CFO, CEO for indemnifying these parties against any liability which occurred due to the negligence, default, misfeasance, breach of duty or breach of trust, for which any one is guilty, then any premium paid with respect to this kind of insurance policy shall not be treated as a remuneration paid to the director, right, or that personnel, that KMP. Why? Because understand why this insurance is taken first. Because KMPs are vulnerable to many charges, right? We have already done section 203 and we know that what is the importance of KMP and which critical role they are playing in the company. So obviously if there is any company has made any default in complying any of the provisions of this company's act or any other act which is applicable to the company, obviously the KMPs are also responsible along with the company because they are officers in default. So obviously they have to pay the damages to the to the ROC or to any other regulator, right? Be it ROC, RBI, SEBI, whoever. If the penalty is imposed on them, officer in default, so obviously they have to pay. So here for this only the insurance is taken, director responsibility insurance, we can say that. So this kind of insurance is previously only taken by the company, that in case in future this kind of indemnifying company has to indemnify this amount to this KMPs, then company can easily do so. So this kind of insurance policy is taken in the name of the respective KMP. Fine. So if this premium is, company has to pay the premium, KMPs will not pay from their pocket, right? So this kind of premium amount shall not be included in the remuneration in normal case. But suppose that person is proved guilty, that he has only committed a mistake and because of him only the company is now a non-compliant company and company has this kind of provision was breached, right, because he was guilty, it was his mistake, then this remuneration, this premium paid shall be considered as the part of his remuneration. Otherwise in normal case it shall be paid by the company and it shall not be considered as a part of the remuneration. Other things are there, that any director who is receiving any commission from the company and who is the managing director or the whole-time director of the company shall not be disqualified from receiving any other remuneration or commission from any holding company or subsidiary company. So this is allowed. MD of company A can get the remuneration in the form of commission or any other kind of remuneration from its holding company, means holding company of company A or its subsidiary company. It's allowed, subject to the disclosure in the board's report. So in the board's report, this party, Mr. MD, is receiving the remuneration from our company, this much amount, from the holding company, this much amount, from the subsidiary company, this much amount. These things to be specifically described, disclosed in our board's report. Fine. Now the penal section is there, that if a person makes any default in complying any of the provisions of subsection of this section 197, then the penalty is that minimum 1 lakh rupees, and where the default has been made by the company, and the company shall be liable to a penalty of 5 lakh rupees. So let's understand, any person makes any default in complying the provisions of 197, person will be liable to a penalty of 1 lakh rupees, and where there is a default made by the company is not fulfilling this provisions, then the company shall be liable to the penalty of 5 lakh rupees. So please understand, person it is 1 lakh, company it is 5 lakh, and these limits are really important for your exams. Next, auditor of the company, when they will do the audit of the company, in his audit report he will make a statement whether the remuneration paid by the company to its director is in compliance with these provisions laid down under 197, whether the remuneration paid to any director is in excess of the limits which we have already discussed under 197 subsection 1, and we'll give other details also, right? So this is all about the lecture of today, that is our lecture of MD part 3. Hopefully you enjoyed all the 3 lecture, part 1, part 2 and part 3 on MD, and if you have really getting a benefits from our channel, please subscribe our channel and please stay tuned to our channel Vision Insights for more updates, more videos on company law, and hopefully this will be beneficial to you in your examination. If it is getting beneficial, then please kindly share among your friends. Thank you for watching.